I don't think it's that big a change, but I see your point on it. That's why we discuss, and that's what we're here to do.
Madam Chairwoman, may I offer a couple of pieces of information to the Commission? There are two things. One is your rules, specifically Rule 417, clearly provides for an option for a licensed cultivator to move locations. So it's in your rules. We're not asking for something that's not part of your rules. The second thing is this Commission may be aware there were 10 applicants for cultivation facilities that selected Newport. Okay? There were 2 that were selected to receive licenses. 9 of the 10 applicants were all within 3,000 feet of ASU Newport. At the time we selected the location, we relied on a number of things, the least of which was the Director of Economic Development in Newport, John Chadwell, had a discussion with Scott Harden of DFA, and who concurred with their reading that ASU is not a school under your rules and regulations. Also, ASU Newport went all the way to the Chancellor and the General Counsel. They had absolutely no objection to a cultivation facility being located next door. And we relied on that. It is unfortunate that when a protest letter like this is filed, depending on what happens, if the protest letter, nothing's done about it, then there's always the possibility of litigation. We simply want to take any chance of any further delays of the medical marijuana program in Arkansas, particularly as it relates to Delta Medical, or any other cultivator who's near ASU Newport, to prevent any further delays. And let's get on with about the business of growing medical marijuana.
You have any other comments?
Was the piece of land that you're proposing to move to available at the time of your original application?
I do not know. It was not on the table as a potential site. We didn't ask Mr. Connor specifically. In fact, it's been in farmland. And when this issue arose, we went to him, and he said, I do have another piece that I really didn't want to sell, but I understand your dilemma, and I would be certainly willing for you to move down the road 1.5 miles. It's obviously probably even better security in the area, given the fact it is literally across the road from the Grimes unit in Newport. But that's part of the reason he required us to buy 5 acres instead of 2 acres, because he is taking land out of production.
Commissioner Sturr, you have any comment or discussion?
My only thought is I think we ought to get the Attorney General's opinion first. I understand that any more delay is not necessarily what we want, but if Brian's sitting here thinking that we'll have the Attorney General's opinion potentially by the 19th when we've already got a meeting scheduled, we're not talking about a long delay, and I think that adds a lot of clarity, because I see both sides to it, and I think it informs the Commission based on that opinion on where we ought to go. So I would personally be in favor of the motion.
If, let's say, the Attorney General rules that it's not a school. I know your guys' thing is you always have that threat of litigation going forward. Is that really, and what would you say then, Travis, again, for discussions? I mean, if so the Attorney General rules that it's not a school and that the application is sound, then do you allow them to move, or do you think that they have to stay where they initially said? I mean,
well, I think it'd be a lot harder to say. Well, first of all, I think we ought to see what the Attorney General says. that is a lot of clarity. If the Attorney General was of the opinion that we specifically exempted colleges from the definition of schools, and so I very much appreciate the reliance that everybody had that colleges were not schools, and everybody based opinions and, you know, locations on that. If that's still the Attorney General's, if the Attorney General agrees with what we put inside our rules, then I think everybody's kind of made their choice on where they want to be, potentially. And that, you know, that's kind of there's always a threat of litigation for anything. And so I think that's where we have to just kind of look at this. But I think in a vacuum, it's hard to say, let's do that, and especially if we think there's an Attorney General opinion coming out so soon. I would just try to bring this back up on the 19th and see where we are at that point.
Okay, so we'll call for a vote. All in favor? For?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, for the sake of argument, I'll say nay. I just think that,
Just pretend I should have seen right there.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Chairman.